Alright guys, hope you're doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. So today I just wanted to do, I don't know, maybe like a 20-minute video of me just running some control points, talking about the Division 2. It is the 3-year anniversary, so I didn't really have any news or anything, but I didn't want to like not make a video or whatever, so hopefully this will do for you guys. There's not going to be any news in this video or anything like that. It's just going to be me doing some control points for about 20 minutes and just talking about the game in general. I did put out a community post not that long ago, asking if people had any questions for me to answer. I didn't really give them enough time to give me any questions, so I think the only question I had back was whether people are willing to wait for this new content. And also part of that question was, if there was another game, a Division 3, how kind of popular would it be? And so to start off with that, I mean, I think most people who are hardcore with this game are willing to wait. I mean, most people have waited long enough as it is already, so to wait another couple of months isn't going to be a big deal. With that said, I think the majority of people who used to play this game probably no longer play this game. But, and I've said this a few times in previous videos, there is a lot of people that are very much just kind of waiting in the wings for something to happen. And I know that because of the amount of interactions and stuff that we still get on videos as content creators, and that's not just for me. It's actually less for me than quite a lot of other people actually. But a good example is build videos, right? People like Marker Blades and people like that still get a ton of views, still get 30,000 views, and that's not a lot in comparison to Destiny 2 and the views that some people get on that, of course, but I don't think you can really compare the two. Destiny 2 is obviously a much bigger game than this, and it's got a much wider audience. But when you consider the views to popularity ratio, if there is such a thing, then I think the Division 2 does really well in respect of build videos, which is a little bit odd that you would do so well in build videos if people are not playing the game. Or at least, playing the game. I mean, I know that I don't personally watch... I'm trying to get to the control point. I never know where it is. I'm not personally watching build videos when I'm not playing the game. That's the only time I would watch those type of videos. The videos I would pay more attention to is news type videos and information and stuff. So for those people to still get a lot of views, I still think there's a big audience there. But it's kind of just... I think there's a big audience there that maybe it doesn't show in the figures, like, you can look at like Twitch and all that sort of stuff. But I think there's an audience there that are kind of waiting in the wings. And so I do think that people will have moved on. But I do think that people will come back once the new content drops. In respect of a new game, Division 3 or whatever it might be, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that a game like that would do really well, at least initially, to sell. I think a lot of Ubisoft games generally sell really well, but they just can't maintain that kind of live service, right? You look at games like Assassin's Creed and other games like that. These games sell, Far Cry, they sell very well initially. And you can just go back and look at Ubisoft's earnings reports to see that. They all do very well initially. And even after the first kind of major kind of DLC or expansion, they generally do pretty well. But then they drop off very quickly. And I think that Ubisoft have a habit of not being able to service a live service game. I almost think it's kind of their model, really, which is why a lot of the time, instead of doing live service stuff, they tend to just kind of move on to another installment. You've seen that with Far Cry, we've seen that with Assassin's Creed, we've seen that with Ghost Recon. I mean, even the Division is a good example. We had 3 years of the Division 1, and that's quite long for a Ubisoft game in terms of a live service. You have that, and we had that for 3 years. Then we got the Division 2, which is now on its 3-year anniversary. So the Division 3 is certainly not out of the picture, and I think there will be a Division 3 at some point in the future. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think that Massive will want to do the Division 3, and I don't think they've got the power, the manpower to do it at this point. And I don't think Ubisoft would want to put it on another studio based on the fact that Massive have done the first two. And you can look at the sales figures and you'll see that both games sold really, really well. Obviously, the Division 1 broke many of Ubisoft records. I'm not even paying attention to this control point here. Skills are OP in this game. The Division 2 didn't meet the expectations of the shareholders. But then how many games really ever do? The Division 2 still sold really, really well. So I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that the Division 3 will come at some point. And I do think that it will sell really, really well. But I think like the Division 1, and like the Division 2, I think that it'll be a case that it does really well initially. It starts off really well. And then the service doesn't stick with it. And the game, 1 year down the line is no longer feels like it's being supported. And that's kind of how the first game and the second game have felt. I think that the first game felt more supported than the Division 2 has. We're now, 14 months since the last content update. And I know we're getting new content at some point. I've said before that I think it'll be in the next couple of months, probably 2 to 3 months. I'm sticking by May. But I wouldn't set my expectations at that point because I don't know for sure. We've had no communication that May is going to be the time. In yesterday's video I talked about indicators, and I think the indicators point to a May release. But that don't mean nothing, right? Those sort of things, unless you're hearing it from the horse's mouth, it really all is speculation. And so hopefully that's answered the question that I got earlier today. If there are any more questions, then I'll just quickly take a look and see if there are any more questions that have come up as I'm doing this video here. And I can obviously answer those right away. When does Division 4 come out? Since we've totally waited for D3 or anything figured, might want to look into the future, say 2030. I don't... Oh man, it's comical at this point, because if you don't laugh, you kind of want to cry a little bit, don't you? It does feel like the Division 2 has been... it was going to be closed off, right? We know that. They said that the game was due to end at the end of 2020. But they kept on going. And from my understanding, that all came from Massive wanting to still work on the Division 2. That is speculation because I don't know for sure if that's the case. I don't know if it's a case that Ubisoft knew that Massive wouldn't be raking or bringing in any kind of cash for their games, with Avatar being delayed, and then we've got Star Wars. I wasn't sure if Ubisoft just, as a business, wanted to ensure that they still had some profit coming in from Massive as a studio, and so they decided to give Massive a bit of budget to work on the new content. I don't know if that's the case, but Massive have always said it was due to the immense feedback from us as players and stuff that they decided to keep on working on the game. And I don't kind of believe that. I don't. It's hard to believe that because I think that if you've got 40 million players, as they state, you would have known that way in advance of 2020 or the end of 2020, and so content should have already started if that was the reason why you were carrying on, and I don't think that's the case. I could be wrong, but yeah, there you go. But anyway, guys, it is the 3-year anniversary of the Division 2, and so I did want to briefly talk about the Division 2 and the Division franchise. I can't believe it's been 3 years, if I'm being honest with you. In terms of content, yeah, it's very light. The Division 2 is light on content. We all know that. Year 1 wasn't the greatest for content. Year 2, I do like the seasonal format. I've said this a million times. I like the seasonal format. It works in other games really well, Destiny 2 being a good example. But it does require a lot of work. And if you haven't got a studio that has the resources to do that work, then it will feel light. And I think the Division 2, the seasons that we've had have felt light. We've had reused global events. And the whole Manhunt stuff, for me, is okay. But it doesn't quite live up to other games in that respect. Maybe expectations are too high, but when you've got a game like this which has a lot of potential, you do expect, or you hope, that the game can live up to that potential, and I don't think the Division 2 has quite done that. Now, am I looking forward to the new content? I am. I know very little about the new content aside from what's already been covered in the intelligence annexes, which I've covered in detail here on the channel. Aside from that, guys, look, I'm just camping here, right? The skills are so OP in this game, I barely have to do anything. I don't even need the 40 stacks on this for my skills just to destroy everything, basically. Not in the fastest time, but I just got to sit behind cover. I actually saw a tweet from oh, I can't remember who it's from now. Nothing But Skills, where, following the Heartland news, where he basically said people who use skills all times in the Division 2 will have to start to learn to use a weapon for when Heartlands comes out, because there is no skills, basically. He's got a good point. It's something that I'm definitely going to have to do, because I don't really... I rely on skills heavily in this game at the moment. With the new content, I'm hoping that we get some fresh new gear and stuff, so that I can, you know, maybe move on to a different build or whatever the case may be, but move on from using skills. But when skills are so good, it's hard not to use them. So yeah. So content wise, yeah, I'm looking forward to the new content, the new game mode. I'm looking forward to. Again, I know very little about the new game mode. I know a little bit that I can't talk about, but aside from the little bit that I do know, I don't know enough in order to even come to any kind of conclusions as to whether I think the new content or the new game mode is going to be any good. I just don't know at this point. Is this guy trying to sneak up behind me? He is, isn't he? Whereabouts is he? There he is. Oh, I thought he might come up already. I don't know enough to really even give an opinion at this stage. So we'll have to wait and see on that. The new seasons and what they're doing new seasons is one thing that really interests me, because I think the seasons, if done really well, will make or break the new content for me. And I've said this before, when you do seasons well, like Destiny 2 does, it can sustain you for almost a whole year. Now, I don't want it to be a case that, like with Destiny 2, where it almost feels like a full-time job to stay up to date, and I don't think the Division 2 will do that. But if it can even get close to what Destiny 2 does in terms of their seasons, then I'll be very, very happy, and it'll sustain me for the whole year. And by that we need, you know, regular new content in those seasons. We need new weapons, guns, modes, activities, whatever it is. We need that stuff. I would hope that aside from the one new game mode that we're getting, that maybe there'll be something else that comes as well at some point in the future. I hope that the manhunts are better. I mean, I didn't mind the manhunts. I just felt like they all felt very samey. I mean, I know they made a couple of changes to like the final manhunt areas, but I would hope that they don't feel samey. I think one of the biggest issues I'm going to have is that I don't think we're going to be getting any kind of map extension or new map. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't know why I'm running away from all this stuff. I think it's just because I'm talking and not paying attention to what I'm actually doing in-game here. Yeah, and the problem with not having a new map and stuff is even if you do the seasons well, even if the manhunts have new lore and stuff like that, and that's done well, if it's all done on the same map and the same locations that we've been, you know, running around in for the last 2 years, it's going to feel very samey still. And so I do think that we need a kind of fresh lick of paint in order to kind of make sure that this new content hits properly and lands well. And I feel as though if they're not going to add any kind of map extension and or new map, I really feel like that's going to be a big problem. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't think we're getting that. So I wouldn't get any kind of expectations that that's coming. I mean, I'm almost 100% sure that we're not getting something like that. So that's kind of disappointing, but let's see if the new content and the new progression stuff that they've got coming is going to be enough to satisfy us for the whole year. I do like the look of the expertise system. I'm sure it won't be perfect. The same with the specialization tree. I like the look of it. It's like almost like an MMO light for me. It looks like, but we've had very limited information on it, so it's hard to kind of gauge whether this is going to be a good addition to the game or not at this stage. So again, I'm just going by my very kind of brief look at what we've all seen, and I am kind of excited for that stuff, but I'm also not getting ahead of myself because, you know, from experience, generally speaking, when I get excited about stuff in this game, it normally doesn't land perfectly. Sometimes it lands badly, like the Summit, for example, which in my opinion is a good example of something that I really felt was going to do well. Even on paper, I thought it sounded all right, but for me, it really didn't land well at all. And I mean, even from the devs' perspective, I know it didn't land. They know it didn't land well as well, because the amount of changes they made after that point to try and make it a better experience was insane. So they knew it didn't land very well as well. I'm hoping that because the devs have had so long to work on this new content. I mean, long for us. I mean, I don't know. Is 14 months long in dev time to be building new stuff? I don't know. I don't feel like it is. From what I've been told, it's not a long time. It's a long time for me waiting for new stuff. But I don't actually know for sure. So I have got expectations, but as I said before, I wouldn't get your expectations up because I think all you're going to do is probably going to be disappointed. Let me see if we've had any other questions to come in terms of the Division 4. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So there hasn't been any other questions that have come in as of now. Me personally playing this game, I've really enjoyed playing the Division 2. It's still the game for me that not many other games can match. It's the game that I always come back to, and it's the same for Destiny 2. Division 2 and Destiny 2 for me are two games that, regardless of where I leave the game, I always feel like I have to come back. Destiny 2 does it to me every time with their DLCs. Their DLCs are just normally insane. I mean, beyond like the last DLC before Witch Queen was actually not a very good DLC in terms of like campaign and stuff. But I still purchased the Witch Queen, and the Witch Queen was one of the best DLCs, if not the best DLCs I've played. And Destiny and Division 2 is similar to me in that it doesn't matter where I left the game, I'm always going to come back because there's just no other game that quite scratches that itch for me. There is no other game. And that's why, for me, it's hard to let this game go, right? And don't get me wrong, there's been instances where I've wanted to, for my own sanity. I've wanted to let this game go. And in terms of the YouTube stuff, I've wanted to move on to other games. And I know as well that, actually, to benefit my channel, I probably need to move on. I know that. But it's hard to let go of something that you've been doing for so long. And you know that no other game is really going to be able to do it for you. So I could move on and cover Destiny 2, but it's such a saturated game that in order for me to really do well, I would have to be incredibly lucky. And because I also don't have the time to be investing 20 hours a day at the start of a new campaign to meet the demand of the players and the amount of content that comes out from other content creators, I just cannot keep up with that level of content. It's just impossible for me. I just don't have the time to do it. And I don't think I'd want to do it as well. So for me to get into that market would be incredibly difficult. And I really feel as though I would probably just burn out. And so for right now, for me, it's a case of really looking forward to the Division 2 content, looking forward to covering it here on the channel. The Division Heartland, if all goes well, could become a big staple of this channel. And I'm hoping it does go really, really well, and I can kind of cover it here, and that will bring many years of content, and I'll be, happy playing it and covering it as well, because I don't want to cover a game that I don't enjoy. It's just not going to happen. Even if I could cover a game that I don't enjoy that was going to give me tons of views, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just cover a game that I love, even if I know that it actually is probably not a good thing for my channel, which the Division 2 probably hasn't been now for a year or two, to be fair. And we'll see what happens on the horizon. We'll see what games come out. But guys, I'm not going to leave this game at any point. The only time I will end up moving away from this game is if they literally go, look guys, this is the end. That's actually what I thought was going to happen in December 2020. I thought that was the end of the Division 2, I'll be honest with you guys, and I was preparing to move on to something else. I think there were other games that I was looking into, like Elden Ring, which is a game that might or might not interest me. I'm not totally sure. But there were games on the horizon that had my interest. No game that I've played in the last year and a half has met the Division 2 for me in terms of how addictive it is. And I know I love a game when I'm playing other games that are okay, but all I want to do is play another game. Is play that game, right? So I play the only other game that I really play aside from Destiny 2 and the Division 2 is, at the moment, I've been playing Battlefield 5. That's kind of my PvP game. and that's been okay. But I've not touched that for a little while. I go through spouts of PvP. I'm hoping the Division Heartland can kind of, again, fix that for me, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm just going to go down here and hopefully collect my loot, guys, and then we'll call it a day here. So, yeah, like I said, I just wanted this to kind of be an informal 20-minute video talking about the Division 2. We know it's its anniversary, and I did feel the need to make a video and kind of cover it here and just talk briefly about the Division 2 and what it's been like for the last 3 years. I am hopeful that the new content will live up to the expectations set by this community. I'm really happy that Yannick is at the helm of this, because I think Yannick understands this community more than anyone else. And so I'm really happy that he is there doing this. I wouldn't pick anyone else to have been the lead on this. I think he's going to do a good job. Trick Dempsey as well. I think she obviously has a huge passion for this game, and you can see that when she speaks, when she talks about the game, and stuff. So the fact that she's working on this and she's going to be dealing with the seasonal content and stuff, I believe, is again has me hopeful for this new content. But I won't lie to you guys, I'm not expecting, you know, Warlords of New York type content, but I am expecting some significant changes to the systems in the game. If you're a PvP player of the Division 2, then I wouldn't. I think you guys know what I'm going to say. Like, I wouldn't have any expectations that PvP is going to really change. The only thing that might change is the balancing, but from my understanding, there's no PvP content. That's what the Division Heartland is there for. It's meant to kind of bridge that gap so that you can play the Division 2 for... is it me, or am I mad or something? Surely it's... Am I losing my mind here? I'd use this control point all the time. Why can I not... Oh, I don't know. Is it because the guy's outside? I don't know. Must be. Oh, I thought I'd already killed all these guys. What? I must be losing my mind, guys. I'm obviously off, not paying attention. Oh, and I forgot what I said. Yeah, so having those people at the helm actually has me somewhat excited for the new content. I think there's going to be a lot of big changes in the game, but I'm not anticipating a huge amount of new content, if that makes sense. It's more of like oh, we're getting this new progression system. Oh, you know, that thing is now working like this, which will give you this. Rather than, oh, we got this brand new game mode, we got all these brand new missions, we got this new map. It's going to be less of that and more of, let's change this stuff and see how we can almost keep the content that's in the game, but add some stuff in there so that people can enjoy it for another year or so. Because we are getting another year of seasonal content. I'm hoping that they do a lot with these new seasons, though. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll just quickly go in here, guys, see if there was anything worth picking up, and then I'll call it a day here. No, nothing at all. At the moment, all I've really been doing is farming materials, ready for the new content. I have been saving some, or I'll say I have been. I was saving caches for the new content, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to let it be a case that you open those caches and it opens up all the new stuff. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but I'll start doing that a lot more when I know when the new content is coming out. If you guys were expecting some kind of news today about the new content, as I said in my video yesterday, we're not getting anything. From my understanding, I'm not totally sure that the developers know when they will be allowed to communicate stuff. I think it's all in the hands of Ubisoft, as usual. And as with all of their games and studios, it's only when Ubisoft say it's so that the studios can say something. I mean, even Terry Spire, who, if you didn't know, and I think this is true, is no longer working on at Redstorm. He's not working on Heartland. He actually said previously, we can't say anything about Heartlands until Ubisoft tell us so. So that gives you some idea as to what we're dealing with here. And if you know Ubisoft, you know they like to leave stuff till the very last minute. I don't expect anything to be different with this. But there you go, guys. That's it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. Like I said, a bit of a ramble, bit of a different. I'm not expecting you guys to stick around to the end of this one, to be honest. But I just kind of wanted to put some out there because it is the anniversary, and I am grateful for this game, and I'm grateful for all of you guys. Really appreciate all of your support, and I hope to have your support going into this new content. Let's hope, fingers crossed, let's hope this new content can deliver. Until the next one, Epic out.